What's poppin', y'all? Top female streamer with a male audience, Pokimane, has recently been getting some crazy blowback and some false headlines surrounding her. Now, the first false headline she started getting was that, oh yeah, her subscribers started going down because she showed her new man or her new boyfriend, which is cap. There was no data behind that. Don't see anything related to that. However, she did start hanging out with some new dude, and she would just post like, hey, this is my new workout routine on her TikTok. So that's exactly what you're seeing in the background right now. I can't play the music because, yeah, the music's there. So you're just going to see, and it's her with some dude, and if you've got any sense, you're probably like, okay, yeah, there's something going on here, right? Well, she continues, and then she explains the situation, which I'm going to play you guys this clip right now.
For drop, I have to introduce you to a recurring character in my life. This is Chris, also known as Sunkiss, also known as my neighbor. We met at one of those everybody in the building gets together kind of parties. And then there were board games for people in the building, so we got to know each other at board game nights. Chris cooks a lot, gyms a lot, and he sings. Chris, sing.
Right.
It's kind of all there is to say.
Damn, I'm pretty boring.
Okay, me too. Also, he makes really cute sibling content. His brother and sister, who are both equally cute. Can you show them what you're cooking?
This is the Chilean sea bass lemon caper butter sauce.
Oh, and he sings a lot of songs in China/in Chinese.
Yup.
Wait, I've never heard you sing in Chinese.
Really?
Yeah.
我们今生注定是沧桑。
So if you've been up on any of the X lingo, she's got this guy Jester gooning or whatever other term they call it. Like, she's basically saying, sing on command, doggy. And this giant dude, well, I don't know how small Pokimane is, but he looks like a giant next to her. He's just singing in a different language. And I'm just like, damn, what? Continue the humiliation ritual. But yeah, he's her neighbor, quote unquote, that's in her crib, or she's in his crib, and he's cooking for her. So you got to be an absolute fool to think that she's putting on a quote unquote neighbor. She's soft launching. That's what's happening. Because this guy, as far as we know, doesn't do any social media. We haven't seen him tagged anywhere. We haven't seen her on any of his stuff. So she's the one that's choosing to do this. And she does a podcast. I think it's a weekly podcast with a fellow streamer friend of hers called Lily Pichu. And she asks her the question straight up. So I'm going to play that clip for you guys right now.
I also have big news.
Oh my god.
You
You have a boyfriend?
We don't do boyfriends.
Oh, sorry.
2026.
Sorry.
Yeah. It's either like ring husband or it's like, I don't know. Maybe we're talking. And maybe sometimes I don't want to talk. Anyways.
So you could see it's almost like Voldemort or like some forbidden word that you're not supposed to say. She heard boyfriend. She's like, oh, shut it down. She picked up the phone. She said, shut it down immediately. Just get everybody offline. No, we don't do that. We either do a ring husband, which she bought herself a ring, which some people were thinking was a brand deal. I don't think that was a brand deal. She would have disclosed that it was a hashtag ad if it was the case. But I think it was just a meme. But anyway, she's like, yeah, it's either a ring husband or maybe we're talking. Anyway, she finally addresses why she hides her relationship status, especially calling him a quote-unquote neighbor. And this tells us a lot about Pokimane. So I'm going to play you guys this clip right now.
I posted a gym video with my neighbor.
I saw that. Was it actually your neighbor?
Yes.
Okay, that's what I thought.
We met at, you know those building get-togethers where they're like, everybody in this building, come hang out, kind of parties. And then we got to know each other at board game nights for like people in the building, essentially, or like friends on the same floor sort of thing. Anyways, I'm laughing because I posted that, and I don't know, you know how Twitter is. I actually don't see how Twitter is because I don't really like to be on Twitter, but I see how my fans are like, why are people on Twitter being weird? And then people on Twitter were like, imagine having to hide your partner because your community is going to freak out. And then my whole community is like, oh my God, cute video. You know, I'm like, it just feels like,
Okay,
two entirely different
Not
worlds.
we on Twitter's just very bad. But even if she had a public relationship, and speaking from experience, you
Who
still
has
get
a-
shit on.
Yeah.
If you hide it because you want to keep your private life private, you still get shit on. No matter what you do,
You gonna get
you
shit
gonna
on.
get shit on, bro.
Okay, two-part. One, I've always been like a more private person, but more so in the sense where it's like people just don't need to hear every detail ever. One. Two, if you come from a North African or Middle Eastern family, you know every single one of your aunties is looking at everything like this. So like I would never publicize the thing anyways, because in our culture, like you don't really talk about relationships till you're married anyways.
So here, a ton of people are saying, oh, no, she wants to keep her donators happy. She wants them to have like this fan. Now, keep in mind, these people may be in lust after Pokimane. They may even have a crazy parasocial relationship with Pokimane, because when you look at Pokimane for how long she's been streaming to not do OF, I don't even think there's a bikini photo of Pokimane, like at a beach or something. I don't even know if that exists. That's not there. So a lot of these people that have a parasocial relationship with her, they're like, oh my God, she's so special. She's this gem. They cannot be stupid enough to see her soft launch this guy and think, oh, they're just neighbors and they're hanging out. Come on now. Let's be real here. Especially the ones that are making enough money to donate to her consistently. That cannot be the case. And if that were the case and she doesn't want to break the fantasy, because some people, when they're so enamored, they will lie to themselves. Like you got Rakai over here thinking that chick messes with him and she's not, completely just succubus trying to get out everything she can from him, and probably feels a visceral disgust towards him that she's able to suppress with the acting skills she's developed being on camera for content for YouTube videos for the better part of a decade. So she's been acting since she was 8 and she's 18 right now. But when Pokimane brings this up, and she's like, oh yeah, like my aunties are watching and my culture and this and that, we got to look into that a little bit. So she's trying to say she's trad and all that. There is some validity to this, because when Pokimane went to her brother's wedding, she didn't post her brother, she didn't post her mother, she didn't post her father, she didn't post her brother's husband, because people were like, yo, you went to your brother's wedding and you just posted a picture of yourself and you're behind, like she was wearing some dress or something like that. And she's like, yeah, my family likes to stay private, and that is a possibility, actually. And that may be possibly why she didn't get on OF. That could be another reason for it. However, are you telling me your aunties and the people that are minding your business, right, that they're so stupid? Like, sure, you could say that this guy's a neighbor, right? And it's you and him working out, okay, but you've got some plausible deniability there. That they're so dumb that the previous guy that was her quote-unquote roommate, like, that's allowed in her. So it's either there's no boyfriend, but you having a roommate is allowed. Well, let me play you guys that clip right now.
Roomie reveal. I will bring them in, like a. Okay, roomie reveal.
Hi! What up? Who would have thought? I definitely didn't leak it in my title by accident. Definitely did not do that.
Dude,
I didn't do that.
You made me lie to my stream. I've never done that before.
Dude, yeah, but I would.
When I turn on my stream, okay, and I'm like, roomie reveal soon, and someone in chat goes, wait, Ellum said he's revealing his roommate today too.
Yeah, but I said it numerous times. We were meant to like sync it up, and then it wasn't anything to do with me. And then I hit it with the Say Drake.
And you're late.
Okay, I was a little late.
Say Drake.
Say Drake.
It's a giant Loki, yeah.
Wait, honestly though,
Oh.
I don't look as tall in your lens right now. Like, I feel like you're kind of like you look kind of tall.
Period.
So this giant freak show, this guy's clearly a giant. He's got to be at least 6'5" or something. From the UK, who is also a streamer / content creator, he was her roommate, and she's saying this was her second apartment. She had this guy living with her. So you're telling me you're from your culture, they're messing with that? They're like, yeah, roommate's fine, when every single person under the sun knows what a roommate is, especially one that you present to the camera. It's not like, oh yeah, this guy, he's just working at JP Morgan down the street and he needed an apartment, so I rented it out on Craigslist. Which, let's be real here. With how rich Pokimane is, do you think that she's like, I want to save a couple of bucks on my second apartment, so I'm just going to have some random guy live there that, for what? To save money on rent? That's not happening. She'd rather have her peace of mind, or she'd rather have some guy give her peace. And then what happens with this Elam dude is this guy was clearly moving, not mad. He was finessing. Man, this guy was a PIMP. And we're talking real PIMP, because he was in a relationship with another streamer chick, and she was paying for all of his bills while he was stacking his cheddar, he was stacking his paper, and he was kicking it with Pokimane. So this guy gets exposed for doing nothing. That's what he did. He was financially abusing this other chick. Man, he said, go over there, go hop on that stream, go and do whatever you do, and you're way bigger than me. As a streamer, this girl's way bigger than him, making way more money than him. And yeah, make sure my rent's paid, make sure my flights are paid, make sure all my expenses are paid, and I'm gonna stack my cheese. So that turned into a whole controversy, which you're probably like, that's a whole nothing burger, because that sounds like every male streamer in the relationship that he's in with the female that may not be as popular as him. Yes, correct. That is exactly what it was. But hey, that was a whole thing. So Pokimane is eventually forced to clarify the situation with that guy. And in that, she says, hey everyone, I wanted to clarify my living situation since there's been a confusion. I rented a room in another apartment to be closer to friends and have a setup to do group streams collabs. At the time, my friends who lived with Elam before mentioned he needed a roommate, and that's how the arrangement came to be. I was rarely there to begin with, never stayed over, and have my own apartment. A couple months ago, after Kara spoke to me about her experience, which is the girl that was dating that Elam dude, I stopped going back to the apartment, so she got kicked out of her own apartment. Keep in mind, this guy was a pimp, man. He had Pokimane paying. He was in the apartment by himself. Pokimane stopped. She's saying that she stopped going there. So this guy had one chick paying for him, another chick that he was quote unquote roommates with, that he was allegedly, most likely, if we're being real here, probably cracking. And then she hears of this controversy, so she's like, yeah, you can stay living there. I'm just not going to show up. God, this guy had it good. And stop making duo content with Elam out of respect and consideration for her. Others saw the document then as well, and I distanced myself because that's what felt right to me. I've since spoken to Kara privately and apologized, so she knows I took what she said seriously. I've also decided to move out, as that's what makes me most comfortable. I hope this clarifies the timeline and my involvement. Alright, whatever. So you're telling me that's like traditional, this roommate situation that was happening, this alleged love triangle, or alleged roommate triangle, because he was apparently roommates with that other girl too when he was in the UK. Then we gotta rewind even further. We're gonna skip Baby No Money, who she allegedly rumored to have dated for quite a while, and that was never publicized. And we could say it makes sense because, to be frank, and they did spend some time together. They did do some content together, because they are both really, really popular, so that would definitely spread everywhere. If it were true, I don't know. But if we got to circle back to offline TV days and the peak of quote-unquote wokeness, which is 2020. Now, some of you are probably going to think like, yo, is this Kabuto? Like, what's going on? What's this fossil you're bringing up? Yeah, there was this streamer by the name of Fedmeister that existed once upon a time. I believe he started off as the editor for another streamer, Yasuo. And this guy was part of offline TV, and he was really close with Pokimane. Eventually, some sort of expose, which frankly I don't remember, so it couldn't have been something vicious that he did, but you got to think, this is 2020. You breathed the wrong way in the wrong direction, and people were putting your head on the pike. So they were saying, I guess he made some weird comments to some girls or something like that, but him and Poki were really close. Well, how close were they? Well, Keemstar was covering the situation. A lot of stuff got deleted. Like Fedmeister's document got deleted. The people that were commenting on this stuff, their posts got deleted. But Keemstar would tweet, she says she was not leading him on. And this is in reference to Pokimane. But in the leaked text convo, she told Fed she was touching herself and Fed needed to come to her room. So this is a text conversation right here between them that Keemstar reposted. And she says, LOL, I got lost in thought. Can you legit hear everything? And he says, ah. And she says, oh my God, lost in thought, he says. Yeah, I haven't started taking care of myself, Pokimane's on the left. And then Fedmeister says, I will commence shortly. And then he says, 2, question mark, more like throwing up the hand emoji. LOL, tongue emoji, water emoji. Ha ha ha, have fun. You too. So this is so devious. So this was already public and a huge thing in 2020. So the situation that was happening is these guys were all living in a crib. So you could say, like, to her family, she was in a content house. So there's girls and guys in there, which I don't know how normal that is for her culture. But hey, who knows, right? She would have dudes cracking her, and this guy's in the next door room, and she's talking to this guy that's in the next door room like this. At that point, you might as well just pull up a chair. Like, you're one room away. You know how sometimes they knock down a wall just to turn it into one room? Like, this guy's sitting in a chair with a wall next to him, and she's on the other side of the wall. That's really what it is. Like, it's one step removed from being a cuck. And we don't know if they ever got involved and actually physically did anything with each other, Fedmeister and Pokimane. But all of this goes to show, man, Pokimane's talking straight cap about this whole culture thing because she doesn't seem to be following it. And just because she hasn't debuted a guy, so she's like this boyfriend word is dreaded because apparently that's not allowed in her culture. Yet, and there's only husband or we're talking, yet we've seen a roommate, we've seen some dude cooking with you. Like, she must think, or her family must be some bumbling idiots. It's one of the two. There's no other option here. But let me know what y'all think about this in the comments. You think she's just capping? What's the situation? Yeah, let me know, man, because this is outrageous. Like, the level of just, there's got to be some sort of cognitive dissonance going on, some high-level cognitive dissonance going on to hold these two viewpoints. But yeah, let me know. Like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell if you enjoyed, and I'm going to see you on the next one.